The archive opens. Shelf 22. In the archive, this is filed as waiting rooms. The humans called a waiting room any enclosed space whose primary function was the temporary suspension of movement, a room between where you were and where you were going. The archive has catalogued 240,000 waiting rooms from 61 countries, across 14 decades of photographic and architectural record. In each of them, the chairs are still in their rows. The archive has noted something. In 240,000 rooms, built for different purposes, in different countries, for different kinds of waiting, the chairs were almost always arranged the same way, rows facing forward, a gap down the center or along one wall, a low table somewhere with a surface that accumulated things and was rarely cleaned. The archive finds this worth recording. It does not find it surprising. The humans were consistent in this way. When asked to wait, they arranged themselves similarly. They faced the same direction. They did not look at each other. The archive will now open the shelf. 240,000 rooms. The archive will visit 18. Shelf 22. The humans called this a waiting room. Entry 1. Entry 1, Manchester Royal Infirmary, Emergency Department, North Wing, ground floor. The archive has 4,612 photographs, floor plan schematics, and acoustic recordings from this room, spanning 11 years. The chairs are blue-gray, hard plastic, welded in groups of 3. There are 42 chairs in this room. The archive has confirmed no chair has ever been moved. The arrangement is original to the 2009 installation. Chair 14, left section, second row from the front. There is a coffee ring near the left armrest. Beige, dried, approximately 9 centimeters in diameter. The archive has traced this mark to a cup placed there on a Tuesday in November 2019. No one removed it. The archive notes it without judgment. The number display on the east wall reads 312. The archive does not know if number 312 was ever called. The records end before that is resolved. The coat on chair 27, tan wool, adult medium, was logged on the last operational day of the facility. It has not been claimed. The archive has filed it under objects that waited longer than their owners intended. In the archive, entry 1 is filed as the room that kept the number. Entry 1 of shelf 22. Logged. Entry 2, Nairobi, a visa application center, Upper Hill District, 3rd floor. The archive holds the original architectural drawings for this room. It was designed to hold 63 people in seated comfort. The record confirms, on its busiest day, it held 211. The ticket dispenser near the entrance is still loaded. The archive has estimated 487 tickets remain in the roll. The machine will dispense them to no one. The service windows have metal blinds. All 6 are shut. On window 4, someone has placed a small handwritten note. The archive can read it through the photographic record. It says, "Back in 10 minutes." The archive notes, the note was placed at 11:42 on a Wednesday in March. The archive does not record the year. The blinds did not open again that day. The chairs in this room are a different blue than the Manchester chairs, slightly darker. The archive has measured the color values. They are not the same blue. The archive notes this as an anomaly because in most waiting rooms across 61 countries, the chairs are a version of blue. The archive has not determined why. It files the observation under patterns without explanation. In the archive, entry 2 is filed as the room with 487 tickets that will never be taken. Entry 2 of shelf 22, logged. Entry 3, Leipzig Hauptbahnhof, Central Waiting Hall, platform level, West Concourse. The hall was built in 1915. The archive holds the original construction documents. The bench seating is original, oak slats on iron frames, 112 years of use. The archive has noted the wooden surfaces of the armrests are worn smooth in identical patterns on every bench. The human hand, resting in transit, leaves the same mark everywhere, slightly concave, slightly darker in grain. The departure board on the far wall stopped mid-rotation. The archive has the exact timestamp, 14:23:07. The board was showing the 14:31 service to Dresden, platform 9. The archive does not know if that train departed. A newspaper on bench 17, folded in thirds. The archive can read the date. It is a Tuesday. The crossword has been partially completed. 7 across is blank. The archive has solved it. The answer is transit. The archive finds this worth noting. It does not find it meaningful. The record is 7 across, answer transit, left blank. The grey light from the arched windows moves slightly over the course of an afternoon. The archive tracks it through the photographic record. By 4 o'clock, the light touches bench 31. No one is sitting there. In the archive, entry 3 is filed as the hall where the clocks and the benches aged at different speeds. Entry 3 of shelf 22, logged. Entry 4, Havana, a barbershop on Calle Obispo. The waiting area is separated from the cutting chairs by a low partition. 4 chairs. None of them match. The archive has catalogued their origins. One from a dentist's office, closed 1994. One institutional beige plastic, manufacturer unknown. One wooden, painted red, origin unrecorded. One repurposed from a kitchen. The archive notes of the 240,000 waiting rooms in this catalogue, the barbershop waiting areas show the highest degree of chair variation. The archive has a hypothesis. Barbershop waiting is informal. The chair is assembled from whatever was available. The waiting is the same. Only the chair changes. The magazines on the low bench are from different decades. The archive has identified the dates. The oldest is from 1987. The newest from 2 years before the archive's last observation. They share a surface. They are not sorted. Someone has put them there over time, and no one has removed them. The ceiling fan is still. The archive has no record of whether it turned slowly or quickly when it turned. There is a mark on the ceiling directly above it, a shadow ring where years of air movement left a residue. The fan is still, but its motion is still visible. In the archive, entry 4 is filed as the room assembled from leftovers. Entry 4 of shelf 22, logged. Entry 5, Seoul, a dental clinic on Gangnam-dero, 9th floor. The archive has floor plan data and interior photographs for this room. The chairs are light grey, upholstered, 8 of them, arranged in an L shape along 2 walls. The archive notes, this arrangement is less common. Most dental waiting rooms arrange chairs in a single row facing the reception desk. The L shape implies the architect considered the psychological comfort of not facing others directly. The archive files this under spatial consideration for discomfort. The brochures on the glass table are aligned. The archive can read the titles. They concern gum health, tooth whitening, and the importance of regular appointments. The archive notes, the brochures are for people who are already at the appointment. The archive finds the targeting imprecise. It files this without judgment. The succulent in the corner is still alive. The archive has noted this in multiple photographic surveys. The plant is a genus Haworthia. It requires minimal water. It does not appear to require human attendance. The archive records, the plant is the only living thing in the room. It is doing adequately. The television screen is dark. The archive does not know what it showed when it was on. Most dental waiting rooms in the archive's catalogue showed news channels. Some showed nature programs. One in Osaka showed only a fish tank, a looping video of a fish tank. The archive noted that one separately in a sub-file. In the archive, entry 5 is filed as the room with the plant that does not need anyone. Entry 5 of shelf 22. Logged. Entry 6. Vienna. A psychotherapy practice on Währinger Straße. The waiting area is a converted alcove outside the consulting room door. It holds 2 chairs. The archive notes, of all waiting room typologies, the therapy waiting area is the most spatially deliberate. Every object has been chosen. The chairs are not plastic. The light is not fluorescent. The archive has identified this as intentional regulation, the space before the space, designed to begin the work of calming. There is a glass of water on the side table. The archive has examined this in detail across multiple therapists' waiting areas in the catalogue. 61% of them contained a glass of water. The archive has considered why. The most likely function, the act of offering water, is a gesture of care before the session begins. A small act, unspoken, consistent. The water in the glass in this room has evaporated. The archive notes the empty glass is still precisely in the center of the side table. No one moved it after the water was gone. The door has a small, frosted glass panel. The archive cannot see through it. The consulting room beyond is not catalogued. The archive notes only what is on this side of the door. 2 chairs, a table, an empty glass, a lamp that is off, and a coat hook on the wall with nothing hanging from it. The coat hook is empty. The archive records this as a hook designed to hold something temporarily. It is now holding nothing permanently. In the archive, entry 6 is filed as the room before the room. Entry 6 of shelf 22. Logged. You may still be awake. That is allowed. Entry 7 continues. Entry 7. Changi Airport, Terminal 3, Gate C22. The archive holds terminal schematics, gate assignment logs, and 1,742 photographs of this gate area across 6 years. Gate C22 handled flights primarily to European destinations. The last scheduled departure was Singapore Airlines flight SQ346 to Zurich. Scheduled departure 22:45. The boarding display still reads boarding. The archive notes, the boarding display has remained in this state. The gate bridge is still extended. The archive cannot confirm whether the aircraft was connected or had already pulled back. The photographic record does not show the aircraft. The seats at this gate are attached in long, continuous rows. 72 seats total. The archive has mapped which seats were used most frequently. Seat positions nearest to the windows and nearest to the aisle show the highest wear on the cushion fabric. The center seats of each row, furthest from aisle and furthest from window, show almost no wear. The archive notes, humans consistently chose the edge. There is a charging cable still plugged into a floor outlet near seat 44. The cable loops up from the outlet and ends in the air. The device it connected to is gone. The cable is a USB-C. It is still carrying a charge, according to the terminal's power records. The archive notes, the cable is ready. There is nothing to charge. In the archive, entry 7 is filed as the gate that stayed open. Entry 7 of shelf 22. Logged. Entry 8. Chicago. A corporate office building on West Adams Street. 22nd floor. Human Resources Department waiting area. The archive notes, human resources waiting rooms occupy a specific position in the taxonomy of waiting rooms. They are not emergency spaces. The urgency is moderate, the outcome uncertain. The archive has observed from the photographic record. Most people sitting in HR waiting areas sat with their hands in their lap or with a phone held near their chest. The sign-in clipboard on the reception desk has 31 sign-in sheets. The archive can read the names. It will not list them here. They are catalogued under a separate privacy subfile, referenced but not reproduced. The last name on the last sheet is listed at 3:47 p.m. on a Thursday. Their purpose for visiting is listed as annual review. The archive does not know how the annual review went. The ficus in the plastic pot is not alive. The archive has established this from the photographic sequence. The leaves are brown at the edges. The soil is dry. The archive notes, the ficus appears to have been artificial for some time, but the archive cannot confirm when the transition occurred. At some point, the real plant was replaced, and no record was kept. The pen on the clipboard is attached by a string. The string is approximately 30 centimeters long. The archive has measured it from the photographic record. The pen itself is blue, standard ballpoint. The archive notes, the string is to prevent the pen from being taken. The pen is still there. The string worked. In the archive, entry 8 is filed as the room where outcomes were decided and not remembered here. Entry 8 of shelf 22. Logged. Entry 9. Galway, a parish office on Lombard Street. The waiting area is a narrow corridor before the registrar's room. 3 chairs, wooden. They have been here longer than the photographic record. The archive estimates, based on the chair construction, that they predate the current building use by several decades. They were not purchased for this room. They arrived here over time. The registration book on the table near the door is open. The archive can read the last several entries: births and deaths and marriages, recorded in a small, neat hand. The last entry is a birth, a name the archive will not record here, a date in spring. The archive notes, this room received people at their most significant moments. The chairs witnessed arrivals and endings. They are the same chairs regardless. The wood does not distinguish. One coat hangs on the rack. Black wool, adult size. The archive cannot determine whose it was or how long it has been there. It is possible it was left and never retrieved. It is possible it was a permanent fixture, a coat kept there for use on cold mornings. The archive cannot resolve this. It files both possibilities. The whitewashed wall has a faint mark at chair height near the second chair. The mark is from repeated contact, shoulders or heads resting against the wall over time. The archive notes, people sat in that chair and leaned back. The wall holds the record of it. In the archive, entry 9 is filed as the room that held 3 chairs and all the names. Entry 9 of shelf 22. Logged. Entry 10. Amsterdam. A veterinary clinic on Overtoom. The waiting room is on the ground floor, directly left of the entrance. The scale on the floor near the reception desk is rated to 60 kilograms. It is calibrated to 0. The archive notes, scales in veterinary waiting rooms are for the animals, not the owners. The scale sits at floor level. It has 4 rubber feet. There are 2 scuff marks on the platform surface. The archive has assessed them as claw marks from an animal that did not wish to be weighed. The wall charts show 32 dog breeds. The archive has confirmed the charts are accurate as of their printing date, which predates several breed recognition updates from international kennel organizations. 3 breeds on the chart have since received updated classification. The archive notes this discrepancy without suggesting the chart should be corrected. The linoleum floor near the entrance has a faint trail of scuff marks. The archive has mapped this against clinic traffic records. The trail corresponds to a path from the door toward the scale, then a diverging path toward the chairs, then a return path toward the door. The archive interprets this as arrival, weighing, waiting, departure, repeated enough times to leave a mark. The low bench has a scratched wooden surface. The archive has catalogued the scratch patterns. They are not random. They are the kind of marks made by small claws on a surface that was within reach of an anxious animal. The archive notes, the bench recorded a kind of stress that its original designer did not anticipate. In the archive, entry 10 is filed as the room where the smallest visitors left the most evidence. Entry 10 of shelf 22. Logged. Entry 11. Houston, an automotive service center on Westheimer Road. The customer lounge is separated from the service bays by a full glass wall. Through the glass wall, 2 cars are still on the hydraulic lifts, elevated. One is a silver sedan. One is a dark blue pickup truck. Both are raised approximately 1.5 meters. The archive notes, the hydraulic systems were left in the raised position. The manual release mechanism is on the service side. The cars remain elevated. The archive records this not as an emergency, only as a state that was not completed. The coffee station has a machine and a row of paper cups. The machine's reservoir contains approximately 300 milliliters of water, according to sensor data from the facility's last operational log. The archive notes, the machine was not emptied before the facility closed. The water is still in the reservoir. The archive does not speculate on its current state. It records only 300 milliliters, not emptied, reservoir sealed. The television on the wall is dark. The archive does not know what channel it was tuned to. Most automotive service lounges in the archive's catalogue showed either news or a sports channel. The archive notes, cars were being repaired and people watched sport. This is one of the more consistent patterns in the catalogue. There is one paper cup on the side table nearest chair 3. It is empty. Someone set it down and did not throw it away. The archive notes, they did not finish their waiting session at the coffee station. They moved to the chair. The cup records the sequence. Coffee first, then chair. This is the most common order in automotive service lounges. The archive has confirmed this across 4,218 data points. In the archive, entry 11 is filed as the room where 2 cars waited longer than any customer ever did. Entry 11 of shelf 22. Logged. Entry 12. Osaka, a primary school administrative office on Namba Naka. The waiting area is a narrow space before the administrative partition. The bonsai on the low table is a Japanese white pine. The archive has identified the species from the photographic record. The tree is approximately 40 years old, significantly older than the school's current administrative structure. It was not grown here. It arrived already aged. The archive notes, someone tended this tree for 40 years, perhaps multiple people across different administrative periods. The tree entered the waiting room at some point in its life. The archive does not have records from before the school's photographic documentation begins. The tree was already there when the record starts. The archive finds this significant only in scale. 40 years of daily attention, now stopped. The tree does not know. The forms in the tray are printed in Japanese. The archive can read them. They are enrollment documents for a new school year. The archive calculates from the form reference number. There were 22 forms printed. None were signed. None were removed from the tray. The 4 chairs are green, a paler green than the wall behind them, but in the same family of color. The archive notes, this appears to be intentional. The room aims for coherence. The chairs and the wall and the ceramic pot of the bonsai are all in conversation with each other. Someone made these choices. The administrative partition is closed. Behind it, the archive's records show 3 desks, 7 drawers, and a calendar on the wall showing the correct month for the last operational day. The month is accurate. The days are not crossed off. In the archive, entry 12 is filed as the room with the 40-year tree and the unsigned forms. Entry 12 of shelf 22. Logged. The archive does not require your attention. Entry 13 will begin. But first, the archive has noted something across all 240,000 rooms. It will record that observation here. The archive has now processed all 240,000 waiting rooms in this catalogue. It has noted the following. First, the chairs. of 240,000 rooms, 194,000 use chairs that can be classified in one of four typologies: hard plastic molded shell, padded upholstered frame, wooden bench with shared armrests, metal frame with fabric seat. These four typologies account for 81% of all seating in the catalogue. Across 61 countries, across 14 decades, the archive notes, the humans arrived at four solutions to the same problem and then repeated them. Second, the light. The archive has measured the spectral profile of light in 87,000 of these rooms. The most common profile is fluorescent, a color temperature between 4,000 and 5,000 Kelvin. Cool white. The archive notes, cool white light was chosen for most of these rooms. It is efficient. It is honest about what it is. It does not flatter. It does not soften. In the archive's assessment, the light in a waiting room tells you this is a functional space. You are here for a purpose, not for pleasure. The light communicates that without words. Third, the number display. 43,000 rooms in the archive's catalogue feature a queuing system. A number is issued. A number is displayed. A number is called. The archive has found that the fonts used on these displays across every country and decade in the catalogue are nearly identical. Segmented LED numerals. The same display technology replicated globally until the numbers in every country look the same. The archive finds this notable. Each number represents a specific person, a specific day, a specific reason. But the font of the number is the same in Nairobi and in Seoul and in Leipzig. The number looks the same. The weighting feels the same. The archive files this under global convergence in the experience of standing still. Fourth, what is left on the chairs. The archive has catalogued items left on or near chairs across 82,000 rooms. The most common object, a coat. Second, a bag. Third, a book or magazine. Fourth, a charging cable. Fifth, a child's item, a small toy, a shoe, a drawing. The archive notes, people left evidence of themselves when they moved from one chair to another, or to a counter, or to a door. The items mark a presence that is no longer there. The chair holds the shape of the object that held the shape of the person. The archive finds this sequence of containment worth recording. Fifth, the low table. 161,000 waiting rooms contain at least one low table. The archive has studied what is placed on these tables. In order of frequency, magazines, cups or glasses, brochures, a plant, a box of tissues. The archive notes that the tissue box appears in 28% of all low table catalogues. The archive has considered why. The most likely interpretation: waiting rooms anticipate distress. The tissue box is a preparation for the possibility that someone will need it. It is a standing offer. In 28% of rooms, someone decided to make that offer. Sixth, the window. 71% of waiting rooms in the catalogue have at least one window. The archive has noted what those windows show: other buildings, a corridor, a car park, a courtyard, a service lane, a wall. In less than 4% of rooms does the window show something the archive would classify as a considered view: a garden, water, a tree. The archive makes no judgment about this. It records only The window in most waiting rooms shows the infrastructure around the building, not the landscape. The humans sat inside and looked at the outside of other buildings. The archive notes this as accurate. Seventh, the sound. The archive holds acoustic recordings from 12,000 waiting rooms. The most common sound profile: HVAC system at low frequency, fluorescent tube hum, occasional ambient traffic from beyond the glass, the sound of a door. The archive notes, waiting rooms were rarely silent. There was always a mechanical sound. The mechanical sound served a function the archive has categorized as acoustic evidence that the building is still working. The hum means the system is on. You are in a live building. Nothing has stopped. Now nothing is on. The hum has stopped in most rooms. The archive notes the silence, without distress. The silence is also a state. It is a different state. It is recorded as such. The archive has completed its general observation. Entry 13 will now begin. The archive continues. Entry 13. Entry 13. Nashville, a recording studio on Music Row. The green room, the waiting area for performers not yet in the session. The archive notes, the green room is a backstage waiting room. It exists so that people who are about to perform can be adjacent to the performance without being in it yet. The green room is a threshold. It holds people in a state of almost. The guitar pick on the coffee table is blue, medium gauge. The archive has identified the manufacturer. It is not a rare item. There are perhaps billions of identical picks in existence, or were. But this one was set down here, on this specific table, and not picked up. The framed gold record on the wall is for an album the archive has in its catalogue. The archive has listened to it. The record is not playing now. The archive has noted, the studio can play the recording again. The equipment is functional by sensor record. But there is no one in the control room to press the switch. The archive does not press it. The archive records only. In the archive, Entry 13 is filed as the room for people who were almost ready. Entry 13 of Shelf 22. Logged. Entry 14, Los Angeles. A casting office on Sunset Boulevard. 3rd floor. The chairs in this room are positioned so that each person faces the mirror at the end of the room. The archive notes, this may be intentional. People waiting to be seen were given the opportunity to see themselves. The archive files this as ambiguous. It could be practical, or it could be unkind, or it could be both. The whiteboard has session slots, written in blue marker. Several names. The archive can read them. They are common names. The last session slot is marked 4 p.m. Below it, in a different hand, someone has written, running late. Below that, nothing. The sign on the wall says, please sign in and wait to be called. The archive notes, the instruction for this room is unusual in the catalogue. Most waiting rooms do not tell you that you will be called. This room makes a promise. Someone will call your name. The archive has no record of whether the names were called that day. In the archive, Entry 14 is filed as the room that promised to call your name. Entry 14 of Shelf 22. Logged. Entry 15. Brussels, a contemporary art gallery near the Grand Place, the antechamber between the entrance lobby and the first gallery room. The archive notes. The antechamber is a waiting room that does not describe itself as one. Its function is decompression, to slow the visitor between the street and the art, to let the noise of the outside settle. The benches are for sitting, but not for long. The archive has established from the gallery's sensor data that average dwell time in this room was 41 seconds. The artwork on the wall is not a reproduction. The archive has identified it from the gallery's registration records. It is an original work, worth a sum the archive has catalogued, but will not state here. It is in the antechamber, the pre-room, and not the gallery. The archive notes. The painting was placed here deliberately, as a preparation. It was meant to be seen briefly, on the way to somewhere else. The coat check window is shuttered. The archive can see through the photographic record. Behind the shutter, there are coat hooks, empty. A small counter, a ledger. The ledger is the last checked-in coat list. The archive does not open the shutter. It records what is visible through the gap. In the archive, entry 15 is filed as the room that prepared people for looking. Entry 15 of shelf 22. Logged. Entry 16. Porto, an adoption services office on Rua de Chedofeita. The waiting room is on the second floor. The archive notes, this room is designed for the longest and most uncertain kind of waiting. The dwell times in this room, according to the agency's appointment logs, ranged from 20 minutes to 4 hours. The average across documented visits was 93 minutes. The children's corner has a low table in primary red and blue. The archive has catalogued the toys present. 6 picture books, 2 cloth animals, a set of wooden stacking rings, 1 puzzle, partially assembled, left mid-completion. The archive notes, someone was working on the puzzle and stopped. The puzzle is a map. The missing piece is in the upper left corner, where a small country should be. The country is not identified by the archive. The piece is on the table, separate, not yet placed. The vase on the shelf holds dried flowers. The archive has identified the species, Limonium sinuatum, sea lavender. The flowers are pale purple, now dried to grey. They were placed here at some point when they were fresh. They dried in place. No one replaced them. The archive notes, of all 240,000 rooms in this catalogue, the adoption agency waiting rooms show the most deliberate attention to comfort. The choices in this room, the soft chairs, the toys, the flowers, the warm light, are all arguing for the same thing, that what comes after the waiting will be worth it. The room is not neutral. It takes a position. In the archive, entry 16 is filed as the room that believed in what came next. Entry 16 of shelf 22, logged. Entry 17, Istanbul, a government registration office near Fatih. The waiting area is on the ground floor of a civic building. The chairs are orange. The archive notes, orange is the least common chair color in the catalogue. It appears in fewer than 3% of waiting rooms. The archive has not established a reason for this statistical rarity. It records it. The queue system dispenser near the door has a remaining ticket count of 611, according to the machine's internal counter, which is still powered. The archive can query the machine. It reports 611 tickets remain. The machine is ready to issue the next one. The next number would be 414. The archive notes 414 would be the next person to be registered. Their fingerprints would be recorded in a system that is still running. The database is still accessible by the archive's assessment. The archive has not registered itself. It does not have fingerprints. It notes this as one of the simpler differences between what it is and what the room was designed for. The poster on the wall is a procedural instruction. It shows the correct hand position for fingerprint registration. 5 steps, illustrated. The 5th step shows a completed stamp on an official form. The archive notes, Step 5 is a completion. Step 5 is the point after the waiting. Step 5 assumes the whole process worked. In the archive, entry 17 is filed as the room where 414 would be next. Entry 17 of shelf 22. Logged. Entry 18. Munich. The German Patent and Trademark Office on Zweibrückenstraße. The waiting area outside the examination rooms. The archive notes, of all waiting rooms in the catalogue, the Patent Office waiting area holds a specific kind of anticipation. The people who sit here have invented something. They are waiting to have it registered. They carry ideas. The archive has reviewed the patent applications filed from this office over its operational period. 217,000 applications. Of these, 142,000 were granted. The technical journal on the glass table is open. The archive can read the article displayed. It concerns a method of improving the efficiency of heat exchange systems in industrial refrigeration. The journal is from 2 years before the archive's last data point from this room. Someone left it open at this article. The archive notes, someone was reading this while waiting. The article is not finished. The reader is on page 2 of a 4-page paper. The water cooler in the corner is a common model. The archive has catalogued it in 28,000 waiting rooms across the catalogue. The cooler in this room still holds water in its reservoir. The archive estimates, from the last fill record, 14 litres. The cooler is off. The water is at ambient temperature. The archive records 14 litres, uncooled, sealed. The door to the examination rooms is closed. Solid wood. The archive has confirmed from the building's access records. The last examination in this office was recorded at 16:44 on a Thursday. The examiner logged out at 17:11. The door has been closed since. Behind that door, the archive's building records show an empty desk, a filing cabinet, 2 chairs, one for the examiner, one for the applicant, a reading lamp on the desk, pointed at the desk surface, still on. The lamp behind the closed door is still on. The archive notes this. It is the only light in that part of the building. It has been on since 17:11 on a Thursday. It is pointed at an empty desk. In the archive, entry 18 is filed as the room next to the lamp that was left on. Entry 18 of shelf 22. Logged. The archive has visited 18 rooms from 240,000. The archive notes 240,000 rooms were built to hold people temporarily. They were not built to be empty. They were built with the expectation that the door would open, that a name would be called, that a number would be displayed, that someone would stand up and walk through. The archive notes, the doors are still there, the numbers are still displayed. In some rooms, a name is still on a whiteboard. In one room, a number is still being read as boarding. The chairs are in their rows. The archive has no observation to make about this that it has not already recorded. It does not add meaning. It does not withdraw meaning. It records 240,000 rooms were built for presence. They now hold absence. Both states have been fully documented. The archive has noted across all the rooms in this catalogue one consistent thing that was not a chair or a light or a number. In every room, without exception, there was a way out, a door, an exit, an archway, a stairwell, something that allowed the waiting to end, something that said, "The waiting is temporary. You will leave through here." The room was not designed to hold you. It was designed to return you. The archive notes this. The archive does not add to it. Shelf 22. 18 entries. Logged. The archive will remain open. You do not need to. Sleep. The archive will hold it. End of VO render. No further audio. 10s. Black in edit.